Welcome back to the MANN channel. Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to share my new wake surf foil setup. I got the chance to do some wake surf foiling during the 2020 season. One of my friends had a slingshot wake surf foil, and I had a blast. It's definitely something I want to play with more and have the ability to do at any time when I'm out on the lake. So I bought myself a setup. I thought about it long and hard. They go anywhere from $1,000 on up to over $2,000, depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's kite foiling, surf foiling in the ocean, or wake surf foiling, or foiling without a wave at all, or a kite or anything like that. It made it very difficult for me to determine which foil I should buy and which board I should buy. But I finally made a decision on one because it's actually providing a kind of 2-for-1 deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the board right now and talk more about it. Okay, so here it is. It is the Liquid Force Pod foil board. This is the 4-foot 4-inch board, which ideally for me I would have liked to have a bigger board. I believe the Liquid Force Pod wake surf board that isn't made for foiling is that they actually have it in a couple bigger sizes, and I generally get the biggest size because I am over 200 pounds or right around 200 pounds normally. Normally I get a bigger board, but because this one is set up for foiling, it actually has the foil track system. So there's hardware that goes inside of these tracks, and then you can mount a foil mast on here, which I don't actually have the foil mast yet, but it'll be here in a few days, and you'll actually see that in the same video here in a few moments. But I'm going to talk about the board more specifically right now. You might already be able to tell why I decided to go with this board, but if you haven't figured it out yet, the reason why I decided to go with this board is kind of two reasons. For one, I was able to find this board for $400. I think this is the 2020 or 2019, I'm not sure, version of the Liquid Force Pod foil. And I also found the foil that I bought, which I'll talk more about in a little bit, for under $800, which that's usually your most expensive part. And then it obviously doubles as a normal wake surf board. So I did not actually have a normal surf style wake surf board in my quiver before I bought this board. I do wonder whether or not this is going to be a board I'll like as a surf style board because of how small it is. But I have some comparisons I'm going to show you to kind of give you an idea. But you can see that it's a quad fin setup. You got your two main fins on each side, and then you got two smaller fins, which I think I would probably normally ride this without these two fins on the back. But I'm going to try it first with them on. It also came with these rubber inserts that you can put in here, and I don't know if that's just to keep stuff out of the track or to help eliminate some drag with having these holes here. But I think either way I'm probably going to leave these out because they were actually a pain in the butt to get out. I actually had to take needle nose pliers and pull them out. And then it also came with your normal kind of surf style Allen key, because that's how these fins work. You have to loosen these screws right here, and then you can pull the fin out. So yeah, it seems like a pretty cool board. You can definitely tell it's full surf style, and the way that you can tell is because it's a really rounded edge. Even though it's pretty flat here, it doesn't have a sharp rail. It's a pretty thick board, and usually surf style boards are pretty light, and this one is light-ish, but I'll give you some comparisons here. So the board that I ride all the time is the Hyperlight Hi-Fi Party Shark. It has the straps on it. And this is a full skim style board. Has a very small fin on it, as you can see, and it comes with two other fins that are the same size, but I just ride the one. You can see that the fins make a huge difference. in defining a surf style board. The other thing you'll notice is the sharp rail on the skim board. So it's got a really sharp rail, and you notice that it's quite a bit thinner. So if I actually hold these two together, but you can see that liquid force pod foil is quite a bit thicker. Now if I compare weight, the liquid force pod does not really feel any lighter than the Hyperlite Hi-Fi. I'll actually put the weight difference on the screen right now. So another comparison between the Hi-Fi and the pod is just surface area. Obviously a first take would tell you that the Hi-Fi is bigger, but if you consider the tail and the nose chopped like the pod foil is, I think the surface area is pretty similar. It might be a better ride for airing out, it may not, I'm not sure. So I'll give you another comparison here. So here's another comparison. This is the Phase 5 Model X. I'm not sure what year it is, I think maybe 2016, 2015. I actually picked this up used off a buddy because I've always liked it. I always thought that this was the kind of one and done board. If you're new to wake surfing, this is going to be great for beginners and great for when you get a little more advanced. It is a very light board, it's a very fast board, and it's a very durable board. It's carbon fiber. So I've always liked Phase 5 boards, and you can see initially, if we do the same test as we just did with the Phase 5, or as we just did with the Hi-Fi, that the surface area on the Phase 5 is quite a bit bigger. And the crazy thing about that is that the Phase 5 Model X is 0.8 pounds lighter, almost a full pound lighter than the pod. So that's a lot of what gives you your better ride with Phase 5, I think. They're able to make, it seems like they're able to make some really light, fast boards. You can also see that this is, the Phase 5 is more of a skim style, so it's got a sharp rail on it. So you can kind of see the thickness. I think the pod is still a little thicker. The fins are still bigger on the pod. So I think the Phase 5, I would actually classify the Model X as a kind of hybrid, somewhere in between a skim board and a surf style board, because it does have your bigger fins, and it has kind of a surf style tail, but it's not crazy big fins. It has a sharp rail like a skim board does. So just a couple comparisons there for you. So I obviously did not buy this board just to wake surf. If I was to buy a board that I wanted as a surf style board to wake surf with, I probably would not go with this. I probably would pick a Phase 5 board, honestly. But the reason I picked this is because it was more like a 2-in-1 deal, where I'm probably normally going to use this as a foil board, but I do have the ability to use it as a wake surf board as well. And if it doesn't work great for me, the chances are it'll work good for smaller riders. I am over 200 pounds, or right around 200 pounds normally. So one of the big reasons that I decided to buy this was also something else that I don't know if you've noticed yet, but it does have a mounting system for straps. So, and I think that's fairly common with foil boards, because they want kiteboarders to be able to use them too. Also, I think it makes a foil board safer, because if you fall and you have your feet in straps, the board falls with you, as opposed to you falling off and you hit the foil somehow. But I'm excited about that. I actually already did try my Hyperlite straps, and they do fit. They fit just fine, and it actually looks like I'll be able to have a bit wider stance on this board than my Hi-Fi, which was always kind of an annoyance with my Hi-Fi. So in any case, I wanted to give you a rundown on my new board for my foil setup. So now I'll move on to the foil. All right, so it's a few days later, and with the magic of video editing, you get to see this right now. But here is my new foil. And actually, like I said, I bought this used. I don't know if I said that or not earlier, but you can tell this thing is pretty tall. And I did some research on this, And from what I read, it sounds like the taller the mast is, the rougher water you can ride, and also the better you can carve. And I guess I may be wrong about that, but we'll find out, and I can always change masts. I can always get a whole different foil if I need to. It is the Liquid Force Impulse 110, 36-inch mast, so it's 3 feet tall. There's actually a different foil that goes with the pod foil typically, but because I found this, because I found a deal on this separately, and I found this, and I was reading that there's a lot of people that like the Impulse a lot. I decided I may as well go ahead and get this set up. I actually got this set up for cheaper than the normal combination that goes with the pod. One thing that does suck about it is neither the board nor the foil came with the mounting hardware that goes in this track, which are these rectangular washers that go in these slots, and then some bolts. So I'm gonna check at my hardware store and see if I can get those. Otherwise, it's $20 to $30 to get those online. But I'll go ahead and get those. It's just kind of disappointing. I thought either the board or the foil might come with that. Maybe if I would have bought the foil brand new as opposed to used, it may have came with it. But there are some cool things about this. I'll show you the foil a little more close up. The foil did come with wing covers or pads, which is great. I think these are a must. After using my friend's, his foil is actually a ride engine foil, and he had a slingshot board on top of it. After using his actually had a cover that would cover the entire thing, the mast and the entire foil, as opposed to just the wings. But I think you need at least the wing covers because this is all metal, so I think it can easily do damage to your boat or other boards, or itself. I had my friend's foil riding in the back of my truck, and I think without a pad, without some sort of cover or pad, there's no way to put it in your vehicle or stow it to where it's not going to do damage to itself or whatever it's riding on. So those are a must. And then I don't have the mast completely secured. You can see that the bolts are loose on the bottom. I still need to tighten those up because it got shipped with both laying down. But you can kind of get a good idea. The foil kind of has a cool graphic on it. I'm actually wondering how much buoyancy this is going to have. It's hard to know compared to the other foil I rode. I would say the other foil I rode, it was actually thinner this way, but I don't know if it was longer this way. And also the back wing on the other foil I rode was actually flipped upside down from this. It was actually, the tips went up like this, so I'm not sure how that would compare to this. And actually I'm just looking to see, I might be able to flip that upside down if I need to, just unbolt it and bolt it the other way. Not sure on that. But one of the coolest things about this is, here's the plate that it came with to mount to my surfboard. And you can tell there's 4 bolt holes, and that's what would mount to the board. And this is metal, feels like, I think it's aluminum. And this is plastic, so I think this is just basically to help not do damage to your board, and also a bit of a spacer if that's needed, I don't know. But what's cool is with the other board that I rode, in order to unmount the foil from the board, you have to just pull out all 4 bolts. But what's cool about this is I can have these 4 bolts always mounted, and this just slips in like this, and then just uses the 1 bolt to connect. This bolt is tight, otherwise I'd take it out and show you. But it just slips in, and then that 1 bolt holds it. So you leave this on the board, and then you can just take the mast on and off with 1 bolt. So that's very cool. Makes it a little bit easier to take it on and off. I'll probably be taking this off and on a regular basis. Not sure if it would be every weekend or not. So it's very cool that it's a 1 bolt operation. But obviously, if I wanted to just wake surf with the pod board itself, I would have to remove this plate. But I don't think I'm going to be doing that very often. It's just going to be one of those things that I have the capability of doing. So That is my wake foil for the next season. I do think it's going to be a little more difficult to ride because of how tall it is, as far as just making slight adjustments and movements as you turn and go forward and whatnot. But I think it's just something you get used to. Like any new sport, whether it be wakeboarding, snowboarding, surfing, it's just something you have to get used to over time. So I think it's going to be good. And if it's not, I'll just sell this one and get something different. All right, so that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts or comments or ideas for future videos, leave them in the comments below. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you can be notified of my future videos. I'll see you next week.